I can't quite believe we're at this movie already. It feels like this came out just a year ago. The feeling of having seen it is still fresh before I watched it over the weekend, so I needed no reminder of what I think of it. There's something a little prophetic about seeing this movie, considering that the ones who helmed it are the same people who are in charge of the next two Avengers movies. Good lord, Infinity War is coming up pretty soon. It won't be long now. But I digress. Before the Russo Brothers would release Infinity War to the world, they would first release Captain America Civil War. It's a 2016 movie starring a lot of people. The main cast comprises of Chris Evans, Sebastian Stan, and Robert Downey Jr., but there are really too many big names on the cast to name. It tells the story of the Avengers having to deal with the repercussions of their actions, with political pressure mounting on the horizon in the form of the Sokovia Accords. This splits the team apart and forces them to butt heads regarding their stand on the matter. Now, seeing as to how the Russo brothers directed Captain America the Winter Soldier, which I mentioned was one of my favorite movies in the franchise, it shouldn't have come as a surprise that I'd end up loving Captain America Civil War as much as I did. It's so easy to say that it was all going to work out at this point, but I was a little concerned about how the Russo brothers would fare when I heard that they would be directing this movie. A movie with a ginormous cast of A-listers. They were basically working on an Avengers movie in terms of cast size, and naturally the scale of the movie would have to be bumped up accordingly. So, yeah, it was a little concerning and it seemed like a big step to be taking from the solo movie that was Winter Soldier. That being said, the Russo brothers, I feel, did an amazing job with this movie. For the most part, it feels like one cohesive story, as the threads, as plenty as they were all weaved together in one smooth way. Sure, this movie continues the arcs of plenty of characters from other movies, but they all come together beautifully. Everything feels so balanced. The story didn't suffer due to the size of the cast, as one might expect it to. How well the brothers have done regarding this film has reassured me that they have the capacity to make a great Avengers film, which I of course hope that they do for Infinity War. One of my favorite things about this movie is how much is packed into the story. And yeah, I know there's a lot of surface level stuff that's packed into it. There are a ton of wonderful action scenes, there are a lot of superheroes, there are plenty of punches and kicks thrown. However, there's so much packed under the surface as well. At its core, the movie tells a story about the ramifications of a group such as the Avengers intervening in international concerns. It tells a story about the friendship that Steve and Bucky share, and about the guilt weighing on Tony, about the losses that the people of the world must endure despite what the Avengers have done for them. All that is melded together with some of the best of superhero action blockbuster goodness. It's amazing that I could even say that, to be honest. And while, yes, the plot can get a little cartoonish at times, as you have to suspend your disbelief a little to rationalize all the punching and exploding that goes on here, but the story takes its characters so seriously and treats them like real people so that we really feel for them, and we as an audience can relate to them once the crazy stuff starts going on. It's impressive to me that these characters are still so lovable after all these years that we've gotten to spend with them, as one might think that after having seen them on screen for the nth time, it would have gotten stale at this point. It hasn't, and I'm still as excited to see them grace theaters come Infinity War, if only for the last time. Something has also gotta be said for the action scenes. I mentioned that Captain America the Winter Soldier has some of the best action scenes in the MCU. And it only has some of the best because a lot of the others are in this movie. Captain America Civil War has phenomenal action. The Russo brothers have maintained the quality that was established in The Winter Soldier, and in some cases, improved on it. Everything is so fun to watch, and everything is so clear, and when the action hits, it hits hard, and you feel it. I mentioned earlier that the movie takes its characters very seriously, and I'd like to bring that point up once more with reference to certain characters. Steve Rogers is as great as ever in this movie. He has come a long way since being my least favorite Avenger. I mentioned that this movie feels a lot like an Avengers movie, but that being said, there's no doubt that this is a Captain America movie. It's based on his perspective, and he is without a doubt the main character. And the movie's all the better for it. Over the course of his 3 movies, he's been through so much, and how this movie ends fulfills a wonderful story based around the character. His relationship with Bucky Barnes is extremely endearing, and the way they go about solidifying their friendship just fits in the overall scheme of who his character is. A lot of the same things that I said about Steve's character can be said about Tony's as well. In a way, he is the antagonist of the story, and considering Marvel's lack of great antagonists, Tony really shines. He's a character that most of us, including myself, have come to love. And here we see him at what arguably is his lowest. In many ways, he is a defeated man. His intentions are pure, but he just can't seem to keep from screwing up. Everything leading up to this point has been pushing Tony closer and closer to the edge. He is such a sympathetic character, and he was definitely one of the strongest points of this film. Zemo, the actual main antagonist of the movie, is another big talking point. He's a character that I have definitely come to appreciate more as time has gone on. On my first viewing, he did fade into the background of the film, which wasn't surprising seeing as to how many eye-catching superheroes were on display. But overall, his character represents the people in the backgrounds of the events in the MCU, more often than not forced to fade into obscurity. That was the fate of his character had he not done what he did. So it's in that regard that I appreciate his character. Sure, his plan was convoluted as hell, and a lot of things fell into place for him, and it worked perfectly due to that. I totally get if that ruins your watching experience with this film, but it's something that I can very easily look past. It doesn't really bother me that much. Another praiseworthy thing in this movie is how it introduces characters like Black Panther and Spider-Man. I thought it was very seamless, and the actors portraying the characters, Chadwick Boseman and Tom Holland, both did great jobs capturing the essence of these heroes. They had just enough screen time, and for what amount of time they got, they were able to do enough with the characters to endear me to them. In the end, Captain America Civil War is a fantastic film. I do believe that Captain America the Winter Soldier is stronger as a movie, but it was allowed more opportunity to be focused and could tell a singular story. Still, Civil War is up there with the best MCU movies, as it is a ton of fun to watch, all while having repercussions that hit hard, further the development of our favorite characters, and sets up Infinity War perfectly. I give Captain America Civil War a 9 out of 10. So, yeah. This is probably the movie that I've watched the most in the MCU. I saw this movie in theaters twice, and another 2 times on a Disney cruise a month after it came out. I still even occasionally watch the airport fight scene when I'm feeling down. So evidently, I really love this movie. But yeah. Anyway, the next movie up for review will be something a little stranger.